Good evening. Politics sometimes is too tactical. Now, today, Raila Odinga announced Martha Karua as his running mate. And I was so keen on the reaction and the mood of the country. First, the speech by Raila before even announcing Martha Karua was very epic, very deep, and building the euphoria. I saw the areas of Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Kisumu, and some parts of Mombasa, and even Meru, breaking in celebration after Raila Odinga announced Martha Karua.
How to be a woman.
That is different with the yesterday's event when Rigathi Gachagua was announced, because the only places where there was a bit of some jubilation was in Nyeri and Eldoret. So this shows that the position of running mate, unlike in the last general elections, the last 3 general elections, I think for the first time it's going to be a very key issue or a critical vote tilting aspect in this general election. And Raila Odinga becomes the first presidential candidate to picks a woman as his running mate for the first time for the 4 times that he's been vying as a running mate. However, picking Martha Karua meant that he could not work with Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, was at the sacrifice of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And of course, there are pertinent questions that people have made. Kalonzo Musyoka also announced his bid the same day. And I think his media team misadvised him because they wanted to make sure that the event goes alongside Raila Odinga's KICC event. And in fact, I was at KICC, so I did not follow much of Kalonzo Musyoka event, but then we will follow on phone, because if you check on the media, all the lenses were in KICC. So yesterday they had been in Twitter talking about the third race. In fact, they shared this photo here and then was talking about the third horse. So they were given a blackout. In fact, if they wanted, they would have done it later after Railas. They would have got the airtime. But again, it was a bad move. So this decision has been, there has been the backroom lobby. I just want us to a little bit have touch on that. Then we are going to ask the pertinent questions. Last night, Raila Odinga, Makau Mukua, and part of his family camped at Kalonzo Musyoka's residence in Karon to try to ask him not to vie and accept Martha Karua to be the running mate. And Odinga was specifically there vouching for Martha Karua. But it seems Kalonzo Musyoka did not agree. And in the speech of Kalonzo, he's saying that they've had conversations between Raila and Uhuru, but Raila stood on his ground that Martha Karua is going to be his running mate. This statement tells you on what is happening within Azimio, because Raila is being criticized that the person having the remote is President Uhuru Kenyatta. So if Uhuru was having the remote, then I think the deputy president or that the running mate slot would have gone to Kalonzo Musyoka. So today, I arrived in I arrived in KICC a little bit, I think some moments to 11 a.m. And when I arrived there, there was a bit of the security checkup that was going on, and the number was just huge. So I arrived earlier, but for me to get to close to where the desk was, I got there a little bit late because I was just around the gate. And I earlier saw Gideon Moi and Martha Karua arriving. Martha Karua arriving there. But when Raila arrived, I did not realize. I think he got through the back door. I even did not see, but of course we had noticed there was that the journalists around were already telling us that they had arrived. So what happened is when Martha Karua and Gideon Moi arrived there, I had already seen Winnie and Silas Jakakimba. Winnie is Raila Odinga's daughter, and Silas Jakakimba is also part of Raila Odinga's personal aid team. So it was evident that Raila was already in KCC, but of course there was a VIP launch. So my understanding would be that Gideon Moi went there and held maybe a close meeting, just shared pleasantries with Raila and Martha Karua and some other people in the VIP. And after that, he drove off to Karen residence to attend Kalonzo Musyoka's press conference. I realized that when the Wiper leadership was not so much there, quite a number of them were not seen. But something caught my attention. When Raila arrived, when Raila was before the youths that were chanting for him to move from where there was a bit of that excess sunlight so that he would get to the shade, to the tent, there was some push and pull between Raila Odinga's security team and someone who wanted to come in. And then we found out that it was a Wiper leader. I think. They've not yet, it was not really disclosed who was that person. So the truth of the matter here is, Kalonzo then said that is plucking OKA from Azimio la Umoja and is going to vie under the initial OKA. So why do you think when they were there, the Secretary General while speaking invited Gideon Moi to speak and even just share pleasantries? Gideon Moi did not speak. Gideon Moi did not, and in fact, he declined to speak there. I want you to watch a bit of that video here. No. So interestingly, this was happening there, but Kalonzo had mentioned that despite media reports that that Gideon Moi was sent there to spy on him, Gideon Moi was fully firm in the OKA. Decision by Kalonzo Musyoka to vie was made in the morning. Because even as early as in the morning, as early as 7, I watched a morning breakfast show by Dan Manzo. And Dan Manzo was saying that they still have to plan to still remain in Azimio. And the push by his allies for him to go to for the presidency was part of his bargaining strategy. That Azimio la Umoja, or rather Raila Odinga's campaign strategists, need then to divert the contest, the Azimio running mate contest, not to be Raila not picking Kalonzo Musyoka, but then pit Kalonzo Musyoka against Martha Karua. That Kalonzo Musyoka is against the women leadership. And Raila mentioned about the women card. So it's a very delicate situation, because also what I know is Rigathi Gachagua on the other side might spend the next 3 months abusing Martha Karua. And with the women, it's a very delicate messaging situation for you. When you just click a bit, then the women of the country will turn against you. But I see the excitement that is there. Now I want us to look at some 4 questions on Kalonzo Musyoka's candidature. The question number 1 that I want us to ask is this. What does this put on Raila Odinga's arithmetic? And for the first time, I want to agree with people who say Kalonzo Musyoka, for lack of a better word, was a spoiler. There's no better way to say it. He was a spoiler. And Raila Odinga made a big blunder. First, just to give the 3 Ukambani governors a backseat and move on. Because he has now taken Raila back to factory settings. But let's face the arithmetic figures. There was, before, when Kalonzo was still in Azimio, the matrix was that Raila needs 30% from Mount Kenya to topple up on his traditional 6.5 million votes of 2013 and 2017 when they were with Kalonzo. Then he wins the presidency as early as 10 a.m. So, if Kalonzo goes to the ballot, and the anchor, or rather his reason for going to the ballot is to protest. He's going to the ballot not to win, but he's vying because Raila is not picking him as a running mate. So if maybe William Ruto will offer him a running mate, he'll still not even vie. So it lacks the merit. But he might take the 1.5 million in Ukambani. The people, of course, he will take the majority. So if 1.5 million go there, in fact, he has the voter, the register, according to them, is around 1.8. Now with him, with not a probability of winning, he might actually bring a low voter turnout from Ukambani. But even the low voter turnout, he will still run with the majority of that low turnout. So Raila probably takes 500,000 from there. William Ruto takes 200. Then the rest of 900,000 or 500,000 goes to Kalonzo Musyoka. So that means the Raila has reduced the vote basket. So yes, his arithmetic is punctured, but Martha Karua will attract a national basket. There is a special basket that Martha Karua has. And now that is the basket that must be maximized. The women basket. The reason why Raila had to pick Karua over Kalonzo. So the women basket is there. Then Martha Karua also has plucked a percentage of votes from William Ruto. That is the central Kenya. So as much as Raila has lost Kalonzo, but the central Kenya is also been reduced. So people who say that Central has 5 million, with the turnout of 3 million voting going to vote, then William Ruto might take 2 million, then Raila takes 1 million. If you balance it, Raila still stands a chance to have a powerful presidential bid. As to whether it will lead to a rerun or not depends on this, the turnout. So Raila Odinga's supporters, because of Kalonzo's step, everyone needs to go to vote. The shift might not be now on the regions, but on who turns out to vote on your region. Very critical aspect. The other question that I ask is this. So, what is Steve's message to his voting bloc? And first, what is his voting bloc? His voting bloc is Oka only has him. Cyrus Jirongo was in KCC, so Cyrus Jirongo is not party to any OKA deal. Gideon Moi, I don't see. So, what is the message that is going to send to Ukambani? Because even the middle class within Ukambani knows that he cannot win. But then to people in the villages, there is the homeboy mentality, and he might ride on that to convince them that they need to vote for them. But he lacks even the manifesto message, his manifesto lacks the threshold because he doesn't have a probability of winning. And I am so keen on his first rally. What is going to tell the people around? That will be a very key aspect for me. Then, what do you think is the role of Gideon Moi in Kalonzo, around Kalonzo? Gideon Moi is a buddy, the bogeyman to Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. But let me tell you, Kalonzo would only dance and have an impact, direct impact on this election when he either chooses to be with Raila or with William Ruto. Now, this is where Gideon Moi comes. Gideon Moi is to be around Kalonzo Musyoka so that he does not make a move to support William Ruto. If he is left alone, then he's most likely to work with William Ruto. But because William Ruto and Gideon Moi have a rivalry, when Kalonzo is around, and I may not be shocked to see Gideon Moi then going back to Oka and working with Kalonzo Musyoka. But behind the scenes, he knows very well that he has a stake in the Azimio side. So Kalonzo Musyoka can only tilt significantly Raila's arithmetic when he says Ruto Tosha. And that is why if there is an exit clause that can be exploited for Kalonzo to leave Azimio la Umoja to go and vie, that should be allowed. Because if you claw him and hold him back by law in Azimio, most likely he will be frustrated. And in his personal capacity, he might not campaign for Raila but say Ruto Tosha. Now that then spells a doom to Raila Odinga. So if he's to be allowed to go and vie and leave Azimio, better there should be no friction. That should be very seamless so that he makes that move and goes and vie instead of clawing back. Lastly, what is the fate of Wiper Party candidates outside the strongholds but that are hipped with the other Azimio aspirants, especially Nairobi? He has Philip Kaloki, who is a Wiper candidate, and is running mate to Igade. Apart from that, even in Bomasi, he has a member of parliament there who is seeking governorship, but they're still in Azimio. How is this going to work? Because then even in areas in Nairobi where there was that party zoning, he's most likely going to destroy those candidates. But candidates in Makueni and Kitui and parts of Machakos most likely will have an easy run. But candidates in Mombasa, Wiper candidates in Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Nairobi, and other parts are going to find it rough. And through that, he might actually face some internal rebellion within the Wiper party. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my analysis. I want to pick your opinion on Kalonzo Musyoka's candidature. And in fact, how can Raila best utilize Martha Karua? We will try to look at that. But then, what is your feeling on Martha Karua's running mate candidature? Yes.